With us today is Anthony from the Ultimate Homebrewers Guide YouTube channel. How are you, sir?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing fairly well overall. Like we were just talking a few seconds
Yeah.
off camera, you know, living life and trying to get better
hmm
every day. That's all we can do, right?
Right.
So everyone gets an introduction. So like I said, this is Anthony from the Ultimate Homebrewers Guide. He's on YouTube, Instagram as well. He's a software engineer by trade. We're definitely gonna talk
hmm
about that because I'm a full stack developer, so I think we have a lot of things in common
Okay.
there.
Yeah,
He's
probably.
married, has a little child, which is awesome.
hmm
That's so exciting. Been brewing since about 2007, 2008, so
hmm
almost two decades in.
Almost. Yeah.
So started as a college kid who couldn't buy beer, but he could buy the ingredients. So we'll definitely just
Yep.
channel that one.
Yeah.
Does brew in a bag in his kitchen. Uses
hmm
a Savide, I think is how you say it, for his mash temps. Definitely seems to be a do-it-yourself kind of guy. He makes
Kinda.
beer, mead, wine, and cider. One of his proudest moments that he mentioned was his personal IPA recipe, which we'll definitely talk about here shortly. He's a solo brewer who likes to share with the world through his channel. He's into sports, weightlifting, golf, barbecue, woodworking, fantasy football, and coding for fun. I don't see how you have the time for all that because I don't
I
anymore.
don't.
Fair enough. Fair
Especially
enough.
lately.
Oh yeah, it's kids.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show. Did I miss anything?
Thank you. I think you got it.
All right. So we're starting off with college because that's kind of where your
hmm
origin story begins. So the years
Okay.
2007, 2008. You're broke and you couldn't legally buy beer, but you found a
Right.
way around the loophole. So which kind of I guess led you to a homebrew shop. So kind of walk us through that whole process.
Yeah. So when I was actually probably my first year of college, um, my buddy introduced me to, I think it was either Sierra Nevada or Sweetwater 420. And that was my first experience with craft, with anything that wasn't, Bud Light. so, and I remember my dad always saying, like, beer is an acquired taste. And then I would be like, Bud Light's an acquired taste, but good beer is actually pretty good. So that was kind of my experience there. Um, but this was back before the whole like craft beer like surge, at least in this area. Um, so yeah, I mean, I just um, fell in love with it and wanted to do that and drink that instead of, the cheap stuff. But again, I was in college, poor college student. At that point, I didn't have a job or anything. So, I mean, I was a freshman in college, right? So I looked into it. I actually looked into that and distilling, but distilling was way out of, what I could do at that point. So it was a year or two after that. I don't remember exactly when I started. I know I was out of the dorms and in an apartment. But yeah, it was a year or two after that I started. I read How to Brew by John Palmer and read a bunch on the Homebrew Talk forums and kind of figured it out. And then there was a homebrew store up in the closest city to me. It was about 40 minutes away. And like I said, I could go up there. I couldn't, I didn't have a fake ID. I didn't, any of that. So I couldn't get beer. It was hard to get beer, period, for me at that point. Right. So, especially craft beer. And, I mean, yeah. And again, like, no, couldn't buy it anywhere really because it was before the, craft beer surge, Renaissance and all that. Um, but yeah. And so I figured out how to do it and did it in my kitchen. And I started with extract
Okay.
and steeping grains and did that for a while. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's how I got started,
That's
and
really
so then
cool.
I'd
Yeah.
be going to like parties and stuff and bringing homemade craft beer and everyone else was drinking, Busch Light or whatever was the cheapest.
Bush Light. Oh yeah, I remember that beer. Yeah, that one gets pretty interesting if you let it sit too long and gets a little like buttery notes to it. I've noticed it when I was younger.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, it's
I mean,
not
it's
good,
fine.
but
I
it did the
drink it
job.
every now and again now, when that's all that's available. But
Right. Like,
Yeah.
I still enjoy, like, a Coors,
Yeah.
but I like Coors Banquet. I like a little more, I guess, body
Yeah.
to it than Coors Light. I think Coors Light is too sweet. 'Cause I've done, like I did, like, a comparison once with Coors Light, Miller Lite, and Bud Light, and I found them to
Yeah.
be a lot sweeter than what I remembered. Because in
Can you
my
actually pick them
earlier
out of a lineup?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah, really.
tried, but I've seen, I think it was Treehouse Brewing tried to do it. And many others have tried. I think Clawhammer did a video on it once, where they try to pick it out of a lineup, and people who are like so confident, they're like, I love this one and I hate this one. And then they try
They
to pick
couldn't
them
p
out of the lineup and
Wow,
they
that's
just can't figure it
interesting.
out.
Yeah, so I think so the first one was easy for me because I for almost, like it's gonna sound bad, but for probably over a decade, I probably drank Bud Light, so I knew exactly what
Yeah.
Bud Light tasted like 'cause it never
Yeah.
really changed, so that one was easy to pick out.
Yeah.
But then I remember Coors Light being slightly sweeter than Miller Lite.
Okay.
So I just kept going back and forth and just trying to find that subtle sweetness. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I got it, boy." And my wife was the one who was giving me the beer, right? So she had to, like,
Right.
a Dixie cup so I couldn't tell which one it was and all that kind of fun stuff. That was a fun little experiment. Yeah, I think you should
Mhm.
try it just
Okay.
for funsies,
Yeah.
right? I think it'd be kind of fun. Kind of check it out.
Well, hard.
Have you so you made so I think you said in your um form that you were making stouts
Hmm.
and IPAs at this time in college years?
Yeah. So it was mostly IPAs back
Okay.
then. And then like the occasional stout.
Hmm.
I mean, it's, especially around like St. Patty's Day, I'd make Guinness
Mm,
clones and we'd do Irish car bombs with that and stuff. Um, I played around with some like weird experimental stuff. I did a Christmas. Everyone does that, right? Like that's one of
mhm.
the first things I feel like everyone does when they get into the hobby is they start with like their favorite, and then they try to figure out like what can I make alcohol with.
Yep.
And so I did one like oatmeal stout that I ran
Okay,
it
yeah.
through whatever the recipe builder was, and it said it was like 500 calories in a bottle.
Wow.
Um, and then I
Skip
did
breakfast on
for
that one.
Christmas one year, I did a beer with actual pine needles and candy canes.
Okay. How'd that one turn out?
It was good.
Yeah,
It wasn't the best.
wasn't the best.
Yeah.
So did you watch the pine needles first, or did you just kinda
Yeah, I like
okay.
um boiled them to like really get all the stuff out of them, and like then I kept them in the freezer for a while and just really tried to make sure they were
But
clean.
safe-ish. 'Cause I'm kinda curious, like, I wonder if there was any, like, wild yeast still, kinda stuck on them somehow. It may have
Probably
changed the
not
beer a
after I
little bit.
boiled them.
Boil them? Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably killed it off. Yeah, that's true. Because my cousin, who's, episode number 1, I do plug him quite often, just because it's what he did with his grapes was pretty interesting. So he just took his grapes he grows in his backyard and
Hmm.
just I don't even think he rinsed them off. He just threw them into an ale and made this
Okay.
great beer. So he had the yeast that he pitched and whatever wild yeast was on there,
Hmm.
and he described it best. It tasted like grape flavored Big League Chew bubble gum.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
but it's something
That's
he could never
interesting.
recreate because he's tried
Yeah.
since then, and of course, it was probably just that batch, that yield. I don't know if he picked it right when the first frost hit the grapes and super
Hmm.
sweet. I don't remember all the details of the story, but I
Well, I think
remember
that's,
trying. It was really good.
yeah. I think that's like the thing about wine to an extent. I mean, that's why they have like the vintage on the labels, from what I understand, and different years have different quality, and it's all about like the rain that year and the dirt and when you pick them and stuff. And then that's like the thing with the wild yeast is I think from what I understand, like big vineyards that have been around for a long time have like basically their house yeast that they've cultivated sort of by accident on their grapes and stuff. But um, if you're just starting out, you probably don't have that.
Yeah, 100%.
You're
So
just a
I kind of want to get over to a little bit like you started talking about like so the off and on journey
hmm
of home brewing. So what happened? Was life kind of just getting in the way, or is college kind of hogging a lot of the stuff, and you had to kind of
uh
take a
well,
step back?
I did it all through college.
Okay.
Ed school got busy. And so I would have a batch that I'd make, and then it would sit there for most of the semester before I'd get around to bottling
Oh
it.
man, yeah.
And so it really slowed down then. Um, and then after college, I moved back to the city, and there were breweries and bars everywhere. And I lived outside the city a little bit for a while, and then moved to an apartment in the city. And then I was walking distance from like 20 breweries and bars with hundreds of beers on tap. And so,
Holy crap.
um, yeah, I mean, we were just um, doing that a whole lot more than like house parties and stuff. And so
Yeah.
it just wasn't getting drank as much. So it really slowed down around then. Um, and then it picked back up a few years later when I discovered mead. And that was kind
Okay.
of the same sort of a thing again, is because it was like, again, I could go out and just buy, any beer I wanted and go to a bar and try any beer I wanted. And so there was sort of less incentive, I guess, to homebrew. Um, there for a while. And then when I discovered meat, it was kind of that same thing again, where it was like, this is something I can't get, but I can figure out how to make it at home. So started doing that more. And I'm still kind of learning, I guess. I mean, it's been since I think 2017 or 18 that I started doing that, but um, it's also a little bit slower with mead, I feel, because like beer can be done in a couple of weeks, and mead is, you don't really learn from it for a few months sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
It is a slow process. Yeah, I've made one mead. I think I did man-made meads. I think newer version of how to make your own quick mead for the most part.
yeah.
That was still almost like a 2-month process. Right, it wasn't
Okay.
fast at all
Yeah.
to get
Right.
it done, but it was a simple recipe. I have 2 bottles left. I'm just letting them age. I just want to see how they change. Uh,
Hmm.
so this November I'll drink one, and then the following November will be the last one. But I'll probably make another one this year. I want to make I think it's a pineapple meat. That's what I want to try to make. I
Yeah.
think that might be
I've never done that
pretty
one.
tasty.
I've heard that's good.
Yeah, so I watched Garrett's video, so I'll probably just mimic a lot of stuff that he did. I
Right.
may change the yeast a little bit just because I have so much other yeast kind of laying around I need to get rid of.
Hmm.
So I may change it up a little bit. I'll still be 100% juice and then whatever honey I can kind of come across that's not too expensive because it's one thing I've noticed. I've talked to some other people that really like honey, and you can pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for
Yeah,
these
it's
weird
expensive.
strands, and just holy crap, I ain't got the funds for that kind of stuff. So as you're going to these like local breweries around you,
Hmm.
you mentioned that as you go to the breweries, you were noticing that there's so many hazies out on the market. Basically, was this
Yeah.
like a frustration to kind of get you back into home brewing because you got kind of
It
tired of the
wasn't a
hazies?
frustration, but
Okay.
that was kind of what got me back to, doing beer more. I actually stopped doing beer for a while when I discovered mead and started just doing mead and just drinking beer. Um, but then, yeah, it was pretty quickly after that, I guess, though, that I started seeing hazies everywhere. And I mean, they're fine. I drink them. When I'm out, I'm not going to complain that that's all that's on tap. You know, um, but yeah, I find them too sweet for me. Kind of. I
Okay.
feel like the hazies are.
Oh, the juicy ones,
I mean,
yeah.
a lot of them are like, I've seen recipes for a hazy IPA where you do 0 IBUs.
Hmm.
And so and that just seems
Interesting.
weird to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think uh Homebrew for Life and the Apartment Brew, they both have videos on that where they do no hops in the boil, just dry hop it all to hell, and that's
That's
just
just
your beer.
okay. Yeah, that's
Um,
interesting.
and so, but I mean, they're like I said, they're fine. I drink them, I enjoy them, I buy them, but like, yeah, I kind of miss the beers I used to drink and the variety that there used to be at bars. You could go and sit and drink 10 different beers and all 10 of them would be different. And it could be 5 of them be IPAs and they're still all unique and interesting in their own ways. And now it seems like every beer is the same beer. So,
Yeah, they're all following trends. I have a couple of buddies
yeah.
who are pro brewers, and It's definitely a trend kind of thing, but
Yeah.
one that's pretty interesting is Johnson City Brewing Company. What they do, like last year, like the pickle lagers seemed to be the big hot summer item,
Yeah.
but they did differently. So they did like a pickle, then they did jalapeno, they did an olive, and one other one. So they had all these different type of pickling style beers that you could try,
Okay. Huh.
all different.
Mhm.
Couldn't drink a whole lot of them,
Yeah.
but I was surprised how much I liked the pickle beer.
Okay.
The other ones I didn't like as much. I think they're just a type of too salty. I'm not really a big fan of like how jalapeno beers, because jalapeno beers I've noticed it can either be nothing or just
Mhm.
melt your face off. Right?
Okay.
Because like 'cause jalapeno is just one of those peppers that are either are just they're so varied. Like I
Yeah.
feel like habaneros, they're hot, they're always hot, they're always gonna be hot.
Mhm.
But jalapeno is always a weird one. I think poblano peppers are too. They're kind of weird. They can be super mild or can be blazing hot as well too.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I like spicy food, so that doesn't
there
really
you go.
bother
You love
me. I actually had a ghost
it.
pepper beer once, and it was amazing.
I had a ghost pepper mead
Yeah.
at a Bristol. These it's called Happy Possum. They quit this year,
Okay.
so I have it no more. But I was told to go try that and then go have a pistachio chocolate stout from someone else and mix those two
Okay.
together. It was phenomenal. It was
Yeah.
so good, so good. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. But sad they're gone, so there's no more like
Yeah.
local homebrew competitions in this area. I think there might be one, but I always miss it. But the Bristol one was huge. Like you get people from gosh, like almost 5, 6 states away. They'd come here because they had like up to
Yep.
like $10,000 in prizes, right? So there was quite a bit on the line. So I do like this little statement that you put up there. It's like so during COVID, you happen
Mhm.
to stumble upon like a free test freezer. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're going to turn this into a Keezer. So
Yeah. I
what
already
was it
did.
like building
That
that?
was so the free one was very, very old, very, very rusted. The way the hinges were, um, I'm sure I could have taken it apart, taken the lid off if I needed to, if I wanted to, but it wasn't going to be easy. So I did. I was thinking about using it for like like fermentation
Oh,
temperature
yeah.
control. Um, I don't know, but I ended up just using it as a keezer. And I just put everything in the keezer or in the chest freezer and used picnic taps there for that one, and it worked well enough. I mean, it had its issues, and the first beer was always weird, but the next ones were fine. Um, it was real hard to get the pressure right and get it to stay consistent,
Oh, okay.
but
Yeah.
um, and the fact that it was in the garage and it gets up to like 110 out there sometimes, but
Holy crap. Man,
um,
I thought,
but that one did actually die last year,
okay.
um, just before my daughter was born.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I took paternity leave, I built a Keezer. I got a new cheap chest freezer and built a Keezer, and so that's what you see in the videos now is
Okay.
the new one. So I recorded all of that. So if I want to make a video on how to make a Keezer, I can do that. There's
Mm-hmm.
a million videos out there, so I don't know if I'll ever get to that, but
I think it's a unique take because I've
yeah.
watched a bunch of different ones before I built mine, and I took inspirations from all of them. One thing nobody did, and I thought was very
Hmm.
interesting, they trusted the fact when they put the lid on, it was completely sealed. I didn't trust that. So
Oh
I
yeah.
took my flashlight, I put it at the bottom of the keezer, I shut the lid and see if there's any light shining through. And that was before I seated the hinges. And once I seated the hinges, I did that again. Because I didn't want anything really
Hmm.
leak. I didn't want any I didn't want it to leak but basically
Right.
not a lot of people talk about condensation at all. It happens quite
Okay.
a bit often. So I have basically a server rack fan in there that kicks on every couple
Hmm.
hours. Like how it kind of helps circulates. And then I have a what is that called? Is it calcium chloride or something like that? It's where like it collects moisture and it drifts into like a little like a reservoir. So it kind of
Okay.
soaks up a lot of moisture. So the fan
Okay.
does two different things. One is circulates air to
Right.
kind of keep the top and bottom roughly the same temperature. It's not
Yeah.
perfect, but it kind of works. But it also helps circulates and keeps it dry at the bottom as well too. So
I
I
have a
thought that
fair
was pretty
amount of
interesting.
ice buildup at the bottom of mine. I do have a computer fan in there that's just running constantly.
Hmm.
Um, but I needed that because I did a pretty hefty collar. It's
Okay.
pretty tall. Um, Probably unnecessary. I wanted it to be tall enough to be in my videos. That was kind of the idea there.
Yeah. No, that's
Um,
perfect.
and I was thinking I could like stack, because I can stack 3-gallon kegs in there and it'll fit. And I can actually almost fit probably 15 kegs in there if I really wanted to. I
Massive.
probably won't ever do that. But um, yeah, but the without the fan, before I put the fan in there, the top area where the collar was always warmer, and then the bottom area would just be, I mean, it would turn to ice at the bottom of my kegs. So, um, I mean, that's not good in the first place, but then also with it being warm at the top where the taps are,
Mm,
um, it always comes out foamy. So you really do need that fan.
yep, it definitely helps out a lot. I just see some people use like some type of like insulation. I didn't use any of that myself. I
Yeah.
know my buddy he did, and he thinks it does a pretty good job. Mine's like I forget, but I think I use like 2x6s or something like that for like
Yeah.
my collar for the most part. And then I
I
got a
use
little
two by
bougie with
tens.
two by 10s. Okay, yeah, those that is
Yeah.
beefy.
Yeah.
So then I used so I have like this apron. It's kind of what I call it.
Hmm.
It's as wide as my Keezer is, and it is probably 2.5 feet down or depth wise. So that way I can actually mount my drip tray to that as well too. But it actually kind of looks nice because I painted it
Okay.
black, so it's a black Keezer now with like a nice Danish oil stained wood. So it
Okay.
has a nice little color contrast to it. So I kind of
Yeah.
like it. And then, of course, you got the shiny chrome tap
Mhm.
handles, or
Yeah.
not tap with taps and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yep.
But it was a fun little project. I did record. I took pictures of mine,
Mhm.
because I actually I didn't think about it. So I actually got some PVC piping. I got like I don't know, maybe like 2.5 inch, 3 inch piping. So I did have like just a normal 120 millimeter fan, and I had the piping was straight down to push air towards the bottom.
Okay.
But I played around with that. I didn't really like it. So like I said, I bought a server fan, which actually
Mhm.
spins a lot faster
Okay.
um, than a normal computer fan does. And it seems to push more air. So that way I don't have to have the big old pipe in there anymore. It circulates it well enough. The one thing I have been kind of noticing is sometimes I think my Inkberg probe might be a slightly off sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So I'm debating
So
about submerging that in water.
I tried the trick where they say you take a can and put a
Hmm.
koozie on it and stick the probe in between the
Oh,
koozie and the
okay.
can,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it made everything freeze. So,
Oh, all right. I
um,
won't do that then.
because I think I read that you're not supposed to put the probe in water, but I could be wrong about
I
that.
don't recall. I was just trying to
Um,
think of different ideas.
but what I've done that works is, so I have the fan resting sort of on a couple of kegs facing down, and then
Hmm.
I have the probe dangling right there directly under the fan.
Okay.
And
All
that
right.
seems to maintain the temperature the best of anything that I've done, at least.
There you go. That's perfect, man. So since we're still talking about like keys and stuff like that, let's kind of talk about your brewing set up. So you brew
Okay.
on a kitchen stove, which
Yes.
I think is great.
Yeah.
Kind of walk us through that just a little bit.
I mean, it's just about as basic as you can get, I think. My brew kettle is just a big pot. I really only do, I don't know the last time I've done like a 5-gallon batch. It's 3-gallon just about all the time. I'll do a gallon sometimes if it's like an experimental thing, but um, even then, I guess I default to 3 just because if you're getting all the stuff out, might as well do that. Um, but yeah, so I think my pot's 5 gallons, so I can fit everything in there. Brew in a bag, just use a grain bag. And we have a gas stove, which makes it, I guess, nicer. The gas heats it up faster and all that. Um, and then I use the sous vide for maintaining the mash temp, which is real nice. Because before that, I was doing just the where you insulate it and kind of
Mm-hmm.
let it sit. But with the sous vide, I can do like 2-step two-stage step mash,
Okay, yeah.
which I really like to do because it dries out the beer a little bit more. At least I feel like it does. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's necessarily true, but um, and then the overnight mash, which Steve, the apartment brewer, I saw in one of his videos when he first had his kid about him doing that, and that's been a game changer. So
Yeah, so walk me through that a little bit. I don't recall Steve's explanation off the top of my head, but
yeah.
what exactly is overnight mash?
So basically, you just split the brew day up into two segments,
Mhm.
right? And so instead of carving out the entire day, however many hours that is to do the entire thing, you split it up into 2 days. And realistically, for me, even though, you know, it's longer overall, it feels like I'm doing like spending less time actively doing it. So it almost feels like it's a shorter brew day, like overall. Um, But what I do is I set the I get it, up to temp and get the grain in and set the mash temperature the night before, you know, after everyone goes to bed, I'll get that set up and then go to bed and let it run overnight. And the next morning it's, been like a whatever 8 hour mash, and then you pull the grain and, squeeze out the wort and do your boil and do the rest of your day.
Have you noticed anything different between doing like I was always say traditional, but like a normal brew day versus the overnight mash? I'd be like, you need for like extra tannins or more maltiness or
I haven't, but
okay.
then again, I might not have the palate for it. I'm not, you know, all that picky. And if
I love that.
anything, I prefer tannins. I prefer drier
Okay.
stuff. So, if anything, it's probably better for me.
For you, perfect. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
yeah. Or you just add sugar if you want to dry it out even more.
Yeah. I've done that. It's been a while. I used to do that when I would do extract.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit of table sugar goes a long ways, that's for sure. Yeah, I learned that through again a homebrew competition. I was trying to make a saison and
Hmm.
watch a bunch of videos, read a lot of recipes, and started coming across some blogs that were talking about like adding no sugar to it to dry it out even
Hmm.
more. I'm like, going, well, okay, let me do that. Um, and it turned out pretty good. I enjoy it for what it is, but a saison's just
Yeah.
not one of those unique styles. Like not every saison tastes the
Yeah.
same, and they're all unique. And of course, when you bring up saison, everyone always thinks about like what is it? Um, I'm not forget the name. I can see the bottle. Is it DuPont? I think it's DuPont. Nah, I'm drawing a blank on it, but I mean that's a good style for sure for a
Hmm.
saison. But trying to clone that, there's just no way. I was nowhere close to it. But it
Oh
aged
no. Yeah.
beautifully. It was like a year. I have some that was like over a year old in a bottle
Yeah.
that turned out really, really good. It's even better now. But now I've noticed. Well, last bottle I was in February, I think. Yeah, February. But I've noticed in the bottle of my bottles now, I got these weird little like stalagmites growing from like the yeast
Yeah.
cake at the bottom. Like going, I don't know if this is good anymore. So I may just open them up, throw them away. It's kind of scary
I
looking at
mean,
some
it
weird
could
lab
could be a
experiments.
sign of something good too.
Could be, or making vinegar, one or the other.
Well.
There's that possibility too. Um, that's it. So, still on this, your brewing setup. There was,
Hmm.
what I meant. I want to make sure that I covered everything. Yeah, that looks like everything we've already talked about. I do want to ask kind of like this advice question here. So you're burning in the kitchen on a stove with sous vide, making beer.
Hmm.
That they do. Basically, you said that beats everything on the market for the most part. What is your message to homebrewers who think they need expensive equipment to get a great beer?
I mean, you definitely don't need expensive equipment to get great beer. I think, um, I mean, I've never actually tried any of the expensive equipment, so I don't know personally how much better it is. I imagine it makes it easier. It makes your brew day easier. It probably lets you like be more consistent with stuff. And there's certain things, like wort recirculation and, the pumps lets you do stuff. And, um, I mean, again, I do 3 gallon batches, so that's a lot easier to just like I can pick up the kettle and take it over to the fermenter and dump it and manage all that myself. But I imagine if you're doing 5-10 gallon batches, you probably need the hoses and the pumps and stuff. So the one thing that, and again, if you don't have anything, you can just wrap it in a jacket or something and seal it up and do the mash that way, and that works. It's harder to get consistent mash temperatures, but Brewlosophy has done experiments that show that doesn't mean that much anyway. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah. 100%.
yeah, so I like my setup. It's what I've been doing for the entire time, basically, for
Mm-hmm.
almost 20 years, and it's worked for me. So
Yeah.
the sous vide has been huge. Um, just having that and being able to do that mash, that consistent, specific mash temperature, doing the 2-stage thing, and the overnight mash, like being able to
Mm.
do that, I don't think that would have worked with just sealing it up.
Probably not. Yeah. So I'm like you. I do 3 gallon batches just because I can't. Well, I don't want to drink all that beer. Honestly, I
Yeah.
like I like making beer more than I like drinking it nowadays. I love the
Yeah.
process. I love the
Yeah.
smell. I love
I'm
the
I'm
brew
kind of there
day.
too.
So like I've told this a few times now. So it's not like a broken record, but I mean I've poured off a pint or two and then just pitched it because I just want to make something different.
Hmm.
So I have no
Okay.
problem with it, right? So I mean I'll
Yeah.
take some to like a homebrew club. I try to give away like
Right.
as much as possible, but sometimes you just can't get rid of beer. So just like I just want to make something,
Yeah.
something different. Or the beer didn't quite turn out the way I thought it was going to, and I'm not really
Yeah.
digging it either. I'm like going,
I have a lot of those.
I don't want to waste calories drinking this. And
Right.
some people are like, going, just you're wasting alcohol. I was like, yeah, but I can always make more alcohol. It's like it's
Right.
not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's just stuff that I
Yeah.
want to enjoy and I want to share with people. So, and
Exactly.
if I don't
Yeah.
like it, I don't want to share it.
Well, I've had several. So that the English beer that I just did the video about,
Uh-huh.
I actually, so I was, it was okay. It was just like you said, it didn't turn out the way I expected it to. It wasn't bad. We didn't dump it, but I shared it with my dad, my brother-in-law, and my wife, and they all they all thought it was great. So, they all loved it.
There
And
you go.
I've had that. I had my most recent Oktoberfest beer that I actually really didn't like, and I shared it with somebody. Um, just, you know, I don't even remember who they were when I was at a party or whatever. Um, and they said they weren't even, really all that into beer, and they thought it was good. So, you know, that just goes, everyone's different. Everyone has different tastes.
Pallets,
So,
100%. Yeah. So I guess with your Oktoberfest one, was it pretty fresh or did it age for a while?
um, it was pretty fresh.
Yeah.
I actually had, turn that off real quick. There we go. I actually had a lot of problems with my Oktoberfest beers this year. The first one, the first attempt got oxidized. The spunning valve had wasn't sealed correctly or something. And so that one got oxidized. I had a second attempt of that, and that was um, just okay. It wasn't great. And then the third attempt was the best, but like the recipe was kind of wonky. And so it had a weird note in it that I wasn't very happy with. And so I was actually going to do a video on all that, but by the time I got around to it, it was, by the time I finished the third batch, it was like November, December. And so,
No, nobody would notice.
yeah,
Chronicles of Anthony's attempts at Oktoberfest beers.
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. So I since we're kind of talking about like recipes and say and stuff like that, I'm
Hmm.
really curious about this IPA that you're like super proud of.
Okay.
So like, what is it? What's in it?
Um, so, so like I said before about the hazies, everything's a hazy now, or, you have your occasional West Coast IPA you can get, which to me seems like the West Coast IPAs today would have been double IPAs a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of miss the IPAs from back when I first got into craft beer, where it was like, um, you remember what everyone was calling like the hop wars
Mm-hmm.
when they were trying to crank as many IBUs into it as
Gosh, yeah.
possible, and um, the like continuous hopping
Mm-hmm.
mechanisms and stuff like that. So it's kind of inspired by that, but um, I don't know. A lot of the stuff that I use for the ingredients you couldn't get back then, so it's not quite. And then, do you know? So I think you said before that you're pretty close to the Clawhammer guys, right?
Yeah, I'm like
Somewhat.
45 minutes away.
So do you know Highland Brewing,
Oh
the
yeah,
brewery over
I've been
there?
there a bunch of times.
Their AVL IPA was
Mm-hmm.
kind of the inspiration for this one.
Okay, yeah.
It's really good in my opinion, but it's like not the like classic hops. It's more the new age hops, the mango and tropical fruit and stuff. And so I kind of took that and then did like the old style um grapefruit citrus hops and then cranked it to 90 IBUs.
Okay,
So
that sounds pretty
the
good.
grain bill is, I actually have the thing on my wall right here. Um it's not gonna work. That's blurry. Never mind. Forget I did that.
No
Um
worries.
the grain bill is, so it's from their AVL IPA, and
Okay.
they put all their stuff on their website, so you can actually go see what ingredients they use and all of that, which I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw that what they use for theirs, I was like, that's a fantastic idea. They do Pilsen, American Pilsen, and wheat, and instead of like, and so no crystal caramel malt or anything like that. And so that's what I do. I keep it fairly simple. So for 3 gallons, it's 5 pounds Pilsen, half-pound wheat, and then Citra and Amarillo hops.
Okay, yeah. That's actually sounds really good.
Yeah. And it's like heavy, heavy, heavy on the Citra, which is really good hop. So um I like it. It's in my opinion, better than anything I can get on the market right now. But then again, all that stuff is not really, I'm not the target audience for that. So
No, that's perfect,
um
man. Yeah, no, that's really
yeah.
good. That's awesome. Yeah. So I didn't know. I've never really paid attention to Highland's website. So have you ever gone there? Have you ever done a tour there yet at all?
I haven't. I've
Oh, you
been
should.
there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty, so I'm like an hour and a half from them.
Okay. So you're not too far.
And so
Yeah.
we visit Asheville quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so I've been to Highlands Brewery, but I haven't done the tour. I don't know if I've done any of the tours at any of the breweries there.
So Highland's actually real. So when I went, it was really cool because like you have Highland right here, and the next door you have like there's a distillery, and I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but it was there when I went there. This was probably
Okay.
uh post-COVID, pre-COVID. I can't remember now. It's been a hot minute, but we went there like on a Saturday early afternoon, and it was just me and
Mm-hmm.
my son, my wife, and my cousin. My wife and cousin don't drink beer, so it was just me and my son.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave like two pitchers of their Gaelic ale, which is like phenomenal. I love it on tap.
Yeah.
I think it's so good. So we got to drink all that before the tour gets started.
Okay.
So they give you like all these hops to kind of play around with the smell. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is before I started homebrewing. Yeah. So this had to have been like 2019 or 2020 before everything started shutting down. So, and the tour is not really long.
Mm-hmm.
It's fairly short because their brew house is not really the brewery is not really big at all. But the guy went to every single vessel and told us exactly what it was and what it
Okay.
was
That's
doing and
pretty
what was there.
cool.
That was really really neat.
Yeah.
The I think they were just about to open up their upstairs balcony view thing. It wasn't quite open yet at the time, but it was really neat. It wasn't like I said. It wasn't the best part was just I guess being such a small group, the free beer that you got,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yeah.
guy, the way he explained everything was just phenomenal. Highland's actually pretty cool. I'm not asking Highland, but Highwire. So if you go to Highwire on the
Yeah.
hill, um, it just happened to me twice now. So if you sit at the bar itself, if you have good or really good bartenders,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they'll give you stuff that's not on the menu just to try.
Okay.
Because they'll be like going, oh well, we did this collab with with Wicked Weed, and it kind of turned
Mm-hmm.
out kind of
Yeah.
funky. We should try it. Sure, why not? I'll try it.
Yeah.
But I think my
Right.
favorite is definitely Burial. Burial comes up with some crazy, crazy stuff.
Okay.
So
I don't know if I've
interesting.
been to theirs.
Burial, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really off the beaten path, but it's not super close to everything else though either.
Yeah.
So like High Wire and all the other ones are within like a couple blocks of each other. This is just a little, not super far away, but just a little further away. But there's also, I think over by them, they actually have a cidery, and I think something else is by them as well too, which is kind of nice. So they're not completely by themselves, but yeah, they make some crazy beverages. Like I can't even describe the last one I bought. It was pretty expensive. It was like $15, $16 a bottle, and
Okay.
it was a stout. It was a very heavy stout, almost syrupy in a way. But it was like had pistachio and like this really dark chocolate and peppercorn and all these weird stuff in there. Like it just did not sound good. Everything I had from it was been phenomenal. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it. I bought it and I loved it. It was great. But it's one of those like heavier beers that you want to like drink it cold and let it sit and just
Yeah.
sip on it because it changes
Okay.
completely the whole time. Um, they were the first company I've ever had a hopped pilsner. I thought that was interesting. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm not sure how I feel about a hop because I was like, pilsners I want it clean, crisp, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Not much to it. But it was like it was hopped. I'm like going, all right, I try it. It blew my socks off. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, this is so good.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite styles is
The
that.
hop pilsners.
Um, yeah. That was around the time when, um, all the IPAs were going towards being, the hazies and stuff. That was kind of what I gravitated towards because that kind of filled that same gap where you had that clean, crisp, refreshing, whatever, and then you also had the hops. And it was kind of a new experience doing the like German hops instead of the citrusy,
Oh,
fruity American hops.
yep.
So
Yeah, the old woody, spicy,
yeah.
earthy, sometimes floral, I guess, depending on
Hmm.
which strain it is. Yeah, yeah, hops is like, I would love to talk to like hop farmers too, because I think they would blow me away. Just like, because I don't fully understand all that stuff. I don't understand the science behind it.
Yeah. Did you read the hop book?
So I have the water one I tried to read. That was
Oh
way
yeah.
over my head. I didn't understand half the
That's
stuff
the
the guy
only
was
one I
saying.
haven't finished. I've done malt, hops, and yeast, but I haven't. I started the water one and I didn't get through it.
Gosh, it was like I had to like relearn chemistry. I felt like
Yeah.
to do that book. I was like, I
Yeah.
just can't do this right now. I don't think I have the hop. I'm trying to look at my thing right now. I don't know if I have the hop one
Yeah,
or
the
not.
hops one is a lot more about, I mean, it goes into the underlying like, flavor compounds in the hops and stuff, but it's also a lot
Mm-hmm.
about like the farming aspect and
Okay.
the history of it and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, I should pick that one up.
Yeah.
I think I got mine off like thrift books or something like that. So I only pay like a few bucks for it anyways. So they're not. So I'll probably do have to do that as well too. Still need to finish Brewing Better Beer by Gordon Strong. I still haven't finished that book.
Oh yeah.
I've been reading that off and on for like, I don't know, 6 months now. I'll read like a few pages and I get tied up with something else. Life, goes on. I do other things. And,
Yeah, that's how it goes.
so like I copied his, Hefeweizen like recipe and before I got sick, and so it's still in my keg. I haven't touched it yet. So I'm
Okay.
still waiting to get better before I even
Yeah,
try to mess with it.
fair enough.
Um, but I'm afraid because I like the banana or strong heavy banana notes and Hefeweizens.
Yeah.
I have a feeling when I did my temperature, my step temperature while
Hmm.
fermenting, I think I was off. I think I should have done it backwards the way I had it.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I had like a little dyslexic moment happening on. So I'm afraid it's going to be more clove and
Yeah.
maybe bubblegum kind of flavor, which I probably won't like, which is going to suck. But so speaking of bananas, so
Hmm.
besides making beer, you do wine, mead, cider. So
Hmm.
you're like full spectrum kind of guy. So you mentioned that you had a banana wine mold
Hmm.
incident.
Yep.
So what happened there I've never made wine, so I'm not
Hmm.
sure like how mold gets into wine itself, but kind of curious how that
I mean,
happened to you.
mold gets into any of it the same way. It could get
Okay.
into your beer too.
Okay.
And it's really, mold is the only contamination that you really need to worry about. If you have like a, pellicle or something on it, it's safe to drink. It might not be good, but um, but if you like put in something that's not clean, or, you know, leave it open to the air too long or something like that, mold spores can get in there and get mold on the top of it. But yeah, it was one of my first attempts at anything but beer, and I thought it'd be easy, and I like bananas, and so that sounded good. So I attempted it, and I made just like 1 gallon in a carboy. And it came out. Bananas actually really hard to get right, I think, and I haven't really ever actually done it. I don't I don't think so. From what I understand is if you back sweeten it enough, it brings back the banana character. But have you ever had like plantains or like a really, really green banana?
Yeah.
That's what it tastes like. It takes
Mm,
all that sweetness away, and it's just like very, very unripe green flavor.
yeah.
And so can be weird.
Yeah, that sounds weird.
So I was kept trying to doctor it up and do different things. And so the last thing I did was I tried to put oak chips in it. And I think that's where the mold came from. I'm not sure. I don't actually know, but um, it was also like on the lower ABV side. It wasn't quite up to, if you get up to like 9 or 10%, or I think 12% is the ideal. After that, it starts, the alcohol can help kill it off. So it was below that. I don't remember what it was. That was years ago now. But I came home from work one day, and the whole headspace of the carboy was filled up with this just like white fluff. so
Disgusting.
so I had to dump that one. And I wasn't too sad about it. It wasn't
It was like good
all that
anyways.
great in the first place. So
I kind of like
that's
this quote here. Like, you're giving credit to Modern Rogue, and I believe I
yeah.
remember some of the episodes. I remember they made Pruno.
I
Vaguely,
think that was the one. I think it was the Pruno
the
one
Pruno
that
one. Okay.
got me onto Mead.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I remember they did a cider one, but I think they did taste testing. I think they had a guy that
Okay.
made cider and brought it in. I haven't watched
I don't know if I've
Modern
seen
Rogue
that
in
one.
years now.
Yeah.
If I think about it, this is probably, geez, oh Pete.
Yeah. No, that
Like
was probably like
2019 maybe.
17 or 18.
Yeah.
I was watching them, and I got onto them from the Whiskey Vault and the Whiskey Tribe.
Okay.
I was watching them, weekly when they put out their videos, and they had the guys from Modern Rogue on their videos a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so that got me onto them. And so I was watching them a lot back then, less so now, but
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Like I said, there's so many channels I don't even watch anymore.
yeah.
I've kind of, I think I've subscribed to so much so quickly that YouTube has no idea what to serve me anymore.
Yeah.
So now it just gives me like random new stuff. It's
I,
like, no people's released stuff by now.
I wonder if that's not just how they are now,
Could be.
because I get that same thing.
Okay.
Where it's news, and it's very controversial news, and it's always like, trying to get to rile you up, sort of a
Yes.
thing.
That's how I felt about
And I wonder if they're just
TikTok.
doing that to get the clicks instead of
Mhm.
serving you what you actually want to see.
100%. No, I agree with that. That's how I felt about TikTok when I first tried it. And then
Yeah.
it started giving me crap that I don't want to see, and stuff I don't want my wife to see that I'm seeing, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm done with you. So I got rid of it. I think if figured out like, oh, you're a 40 some odd year old male, white male, now we're going to serve you this crap. And it's like, now I'm good. And it didn't matter. Cause I thought if that was again, we'll talk about programming here in a minute, but being a programmer, you test
Mm-hmm.
everything constantly. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna test their algorithm. I'm gonna search up woodworking. I'm gonna search up painting. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
search this stuff. Like, so I get a couple of those hits, and all of a sudden we go back to the smut and all that kind of crap again.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I can't really trick it long enough to get rid of it. So I just uninstalled it. Then it was like,
I never tried TikTok. That's
in a controversy.
yeah.
all
Well,
that
there's
crap.
that too, I guess. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I know I do have TikTok for this channel just to try to get more views and just kind of get.
yeah.
So basically, I'm using social media just to funnel to either to YouTube or to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That's all I'm really using for. And all I put up are just short clips for the most part. I don't
Yeah.
try to do anything viral or anything like that, even though my daughter says I should. I was like, I just don't have time to do that kind of stuff. If you
Right.
want to do that stuff, go for it.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't. I just want everything to. I mean, if I do it myself, I did one. It turned out okay, but it was. But I feel like if I were to do it, everything would turn into like a disaster, right? I would just fail miserably. I'd probably get banned or some crap like that, or lose my
I
account
don't know.
somehow. So speaking of disasters, so there was one. Yeah, right. That was a great transition, wasn't it? So I want to talk about college again. I kind of want to go back to the
Okay.
coat closet incident, the 7
Oh
a.m.
yeah.
shift. So,
Yep.
like, what happened there?
I had a brew day the day before, and back then, I mean, I had less equipment. I had didn't have a nice big sink like I have now. I was doing bigger batches, and so it took all day. And I probably started later too, but so I put it, pitched the yeast and put it in the closet, and probably pretty quickly after that, just went to bed. Next morning, I was supposed to go to my part-time, job, uh, fairly early in the morning, I think, and come out and, so I'm getting ready and stuff. And my roommates come get me and they're like, what is going on in the closet? And we open it up and it's actually like spewing beer up out of the airlock all over the walls. And so I had to call in and I just told my boss, I have beer spewing all over my walls. I can't come in. So,
Best excuse ever.
yeah. And so I had to stay home and clean that.
Man, that's horrible. So, did you overpitch? You think, or
Think it's just a normal thing. I think there was probably not enough headspace.
yeah, there you go. That could have been
Um,
it. Yep.
I don't know what I was brewing that day or what um, yeast I used or anything like that. But I know that I have had plenty of things that foam up and go nuts and get
Mm-hmm.
messy and all that, even if I do everything right. So these days I either do um, you know, I mean, I do bigger fermenters than I need, sort of a thing, right? And so I
Right.
have 5 gallon, the PET kegland things for my 3 gallon batches, and I do, pressure ferment, which I think keeps some of
Oh.
that down a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Or if I'm not doing something carbonated, I'll do uh, the Brew Demon, which I have a
Mm-hmm.
video about, or the or like just a bucket even. I
Mm-hmm.
do, just a plastic bucket a lot. But if I do something like that, I'll do a blow off tube instead of an airlock. And I
Right.
still sometimes get um, foam coming up through the hose and it fills up the second vessel, the
Mm-hmm.
little mason jar. And I got to dump that every so often. So that's just part of home brewing.
Well, so
So
I've only had it to me once so far in the 5 years.
really?
Yeah, and it was with my Hefeweizen because I used the White Labs. I think it's 300, if I remember correctly. But I was told that's a super aggressive yeast. Like it just goes
Yeah.
nuts. So I did. I had the blow off tube, which I had to make a blow off tube, and I got like a 1 gallon glass container, put some water in
Hmm.
it and something like that. And it did like the water would just rapidly go
Yeah.
up, but it never actually got through the tube itself though.
Really?
So I was very fortunate there. Have heard people talk about ciders doing that, and knock on wood, I've not
Fruit
had that yet.
fruit is a big one. And that might have been a fruit beer that I was doing too.
Okay.
Because my I've got a blueberry mead that I made fermenting upstairs that the
Yeah.
first few days it was doing that. And
Okay.
the jar, that the blow off tube was going into turned just purple. So same color as the mead.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, blueberry meat. That sounds really tasty. I love
I've
blueberries.
never done blueberry before, so I'm
Yeah.
excited. But I hear that that's like some people's favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I'd be kind of curious how much the blueberry actually comes through, because I've talked to other people, but at least blueberry and beer is kind of hard to get the flavor to come
Hmm.
through. So usually what they end up doing is using like a little bit of like blackberry puree or something like that,
Okay.
because like I guess when you really think about it, or at least how it was explained to me, when you think about it, it's really not the blueberry flavor you want. It's a dark berry flavor that you're looking for.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
blackberry puree kind of makes that kind of stand out just
Okay.
a little bit more. You don't need much of it to make it, the blueberry pop. But blueberry on
Yeah.
its own is, I guess, is kind of hard to get that to come through. Because I
Okay.
do make a
That makes
honey
sense.
blueberry ale that I enjoy.
Mhm.
But the thing is, I use extract, so old blueberry's only on the nose; it's never on the mouth.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about fermenting it on blueberry, but then that's when again this
Right.
deep conversation about, well, you could do that, but you may want to do this, add this instead of with,
Mhm.
or at least on top of it. And you got to get the more of the dark berry notes to come through. Like, oh, okay, so there's all this stuff to kind of talk about.
Yeah.
I think that's why what I enjoy about like homebrew clubs. There's a lot of that back and forth that you kind of get like real time. I guess Q&A for the most part. But there's another
Yeah.
pretty cool
That
one
would be
on
nice.
Discord. I think it's called, oh, why am I drawing a blank? The Brew Tubers, I believe is what it's called.
Okay.
And it's essentially free to join. You only get access to the general channel, but they are a legitimate AHA club. So you can
Okay.
join, and there's a lot of people on there. So a lot of people that do, it's for people that do YouTube basically. They can be part
Okay.
of this homebrew club. And
Yeah.
there's some phenomenal people. I've asked them like a bunch of questions. I've not officially joined them quite yet. Um, and I probably just should because I've asked them so many questions. I've interviewed
Yeah.
a couple of people from the Discord of themselves as well too. So if you're looking for one, maybe that might
Yeah,
be an
that sounds
option.
very interesting because
Yeah.
never really I've never done a homebrew club or anything like that. I don't even know how I would get involved with that. I could probably ask the local homebrew store near me. The owner's a pretty charismatic guy. Every time he's working the register when I'm in there, we end up chatting for like an hour. Um,
That's cool.
so I could probably ask him. He probably knows, but beyond that, um, I don't really have, in real life a lot of
Hmm.
connection to that sort of a thing.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah, I would ask them, and if there's not one close by, like
Yeah.
either a you can start you can start your own, but you have a
Yeah.
baby. That might be kind of hard to do. Or you can just join like I said, the Discord one. You just kind of jump on
Okay.
chit chat. And what they actually kind of do is when you become a member, I don't know if it's once a month, once every other month, they'll actually will brew a recipe together and like live stream it.
Okay.
So everyone's on
Okay.
this like huge live stream, just kind of chit
That
chatting
could
with
be
each
cool.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of get that. And some people actually will ship each other beers as well too.
Okay.
That's a whole weird gray area. But we talk about that some other time.
Yeah.
um, so after nearly 2 decades in brewing, and you've had your fair
Mhm.
share of like infections, explosions, oxidation incidents, mold. Obviously, we got to talk
That's
about that.
actually the only infection incident I
Really,
at
just the
least know
mold.
that I've had is
Okay,
just that mold.
okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. So
I've
what's
had my batches got oxidized a ton until
mhm.
I started pressure fermenting. That was the biggest thing for me is fighting the oxidation, but
I'm going to come back to that here one second.
okay.
So what's the most important lesson you've learned about not repeating like some of these same mistakes?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I honestly just don't worry about it too much.
There you
I
go.
mean, if as long as your sanitization's pretty good and, I mean, don't, don't fill up the bucket too much and, be careful with the blow off tube and things like that. That was the big lesson there, I guess. Is just trying to avoid it coming out and spewing out all over the place. That's something that, comes up on Reddit a lot actually.
Hmm.
And I always, when I see somebody talking about it, I'll pop in and say, make sure you have enough headspace and, use a blow off tube instead of an airlock. But I feel like to an extent, a lot of people just kind of have to learn the hard way. So,
Yes,
and you
yes,
learn and then you don't do it again.
yeah.
Other than that, yeah, I mean, as long as your sanitization's good and, um, I don't know. It's not that hard.
Okay, perfect. So you have a sputting valve. We've talked about this
Hmm.
a few different times. So it was all the pressure fermentation that you're doing. So I started that as well too.
Yeah.
Everyone kept saying cold side, cold side, cold side. I was like, I don't have the means or the space to get into cold side. Like I just don't have at that time I didn't, right? So for a birthday present, I think this was maybe 3 years ago now. Um I was listening to a podcast which is no longer around, and they have this guy on there. His name is Trong, and he makes a bunch of homemade equipment. So he made the Swiss Army knife of spunding valves.
Okay.
So you can daisy chain this to multiple kegs
Oh yeah.
and
Okay.
set it all up. You can take the
Yep.
CO2, purge other kegs. You can
Right.
take that same CO2 and pre-carb kegs.
Mm-hmm.
So like to me it was a solid like investment because I kept looking at the Kegland one. I think More Beer had their own version, or
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's a few other ones out there, or you could build your own. I was like, I don't want to do any of that crap.
Mm-hmm.
It was granted it was twice the amount of money I think at the time, but
Yeah, they
but
used
I
to be expensive, but
yeah
they're
they're pretty cheap
really
now.
not now. Yeah.
But I like the idea like I can do like 5 things with one device
Yep.
instead of buying 5 devices to do 5 different
Yeah.
things. So I to me it was well worth like the money. I bought his No Beer Left Behind floated dip tubes, which are
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal. They're
Yeah.
great. I have his picnic tap that's only like that big. It goes right on your keg
Okay.
and it has a flow control on there. So if you want more head,
Okay.
you get more head. You
Yeah.
want less head, and it uses
Yep.
a spiral like coil inside of it that helps control that
Okay.
flow, which is really really cool. Um, I was going somewhere with this. I really drew it. I do a blank. Oh yeah, so
Spinning valves.
yes, funny valve. So I wanted to make a lager. I never made one. I used to make ales
Mm-hmm.
because like I was just using just the temperature of my basement for the most part. So I made a pseudo lager. I made a Mexican cerveza, and I thought it was like the best thing I like
Mm-hmm.
ever made. It turned out so well. So I'm kind of curious, what was your motivation to get your spunding valve?
Well, so like I said, my issue has been oxidation from the very beginning. It wasn't even necessarily about like fighting temperature control and that sort of a thing. Although I think in the end that does really help with a lot of things. But yeah, so the real value to me personally was not necessarily the pressure fermentation. That was a nice little bonus. It was being able to do a closed transfer
Mm,
and never letting it touch air at all. So I don't need to use an airlock. There's no chance for air to get in at all. I just, you know, push it straight into the serving keg and I'm good to go, you know? And so since then, other than the Oktoberfest beer
mhm,
where
mhm,
it just like there was a leak in the system and it got oxidized, I haven't had that issue anymore. So, um, but the whole temperature control replacement thing really is a huge benefit too. Like, um, I have done very few real loggers,
mhm,
prior, but now I can do. Um, I haven't actually done since starting pressure fermentation like a real, like old school type
mhm.
lagering attempt with this, but I have done 3470 in it. So
Okay, yep. So I've done that one. That was and some people don't like that yeast. I thought it worked fine. Like again,
I thought it was fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
for my, but I think what helped out with the spunding valve, like it was, I think it suppresses a lot of weird esters.
Yep.
And I think this is what
That's
people
exactly it.
doesn't
Yeah.
like about the 3470 when it's not under pressure, they get some weird esters that they don't care for.
Okay.
I talked to one gentleman, Ryan. Oh, I'm drawing a blank on his last name now. I do apologize. He like collects like yeast. He has like 30, 40 different strands
Hmm.
of yeast. And he kind of went into really into depth with us, with me. And since then, like I've done different things. I've always want to go
Yeah.
back to him, like, hey, have you tried it like under pressure
Mhm.
and just
Yeah.
to see what kind of results that you get? Because he just doesn't like it at all. He hates 3470.
Okay. Huh.
So okay, which is fine. I mean, everyone has their go-to ingredient. Like I really enjoy like Mears
Yeah.
Otters and Mosaic hops. I think that like
Yeah.
I like that grain and I like that hops. I don't use it all the time, but like if I had to choose something, those would probably be like my ultimate smash beer would be that probably.
Okay. Yeah. Those are good. I mean, I've used Maris Otter for like stouts and the English beers. I haven't actually really ever used it for anything else. So,
I use it for like a different like a couple different ales, just so again just try to experiment just to see kind of what's going on. Right now, I have an experiment going on. Great. I don't. I should probably record some of this one day. So I have like I think it's about 3-year-old 2-row malt, and I'm kind of
okay.
curious, like, what is the longevity of malt? Because like people are like, oh, you need to throw it away. It's over a year old. Like, but why?
Is it milled or
No,
not?
that's not milled at all.
No. Yeah. So I actually did like a deep dive on that and
Okay.
um kind of I wrote an article. It's just my personal stuff that I read on the internet, but I wrote an article over on the website about grain storage and what the experts say. And
Mm-hmm.
I found an article on some college website where their like agriculture department did a study about like grain storage and silos, but same thing. And so the big things with it are, as long as it's protected from, the real big thing is vermin, as
Mm-hmm.
long as you don't have like rats getting in it.
Right.
And then the other thing is moisture.
Yeah.
So if you can seal it, watertight, then it should be good. I think for like 7 years or 15 years or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at what I wrote, but
No, so that's perfect. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah,
that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to experiment with it because, like, um, I have
I've
like
never
a.
tried it.
Oh,
That's
you
what
just
I
read about it, right?
researched.
You know, so I'm like, well, so I'm gonna try it for you there. How about that?
Okay.
So I
Sounds
have mine
good.
like in a dog feed kind of container, which does have the
Okay.
ring on it. My basement is the moisture. I think it says 35% or something like that. I'm trying to look at my meter right now, so it's fairly dry down here. All still, it still tastes fine. Like I always taste it before I make anything with it. If it ever tastes kind of funky, I was going to get rid of it. Uh, and the reason why I was thinking about doing this little experiment is because like when I go to the homebrew shop, which for me, which is in Asheville, so 45 minutes,
Okay.
24-hour drive to get there.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea how long this stuff has been sitting in those containers.
Right.
No idea. And since I've been homebrewing, they're on their third owner as well too. So it could be 5 years old. It could be 20
Yeah.
years old. I have no idea. I still all makes good beer. So I guess
Yeah. I mean, that's all that matters.
yeah. It is really weird, like how some people like will die on a hill on certain topics. It just always kind of cracks me up about certain things.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to talk about your homebrew channel, or your homebrew channel,
Okay.
your YouTube channel rather.
Yep.
So what sparked the interest? Like, okay, I've done this for almost 2 decades now. I think I'm gonna I'm gonna make my own channel. I'm gonna start pushing my own content out there.
Well, it's a lot of things actually, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to start something, in general, and that would be valuable and put stuff out there. Um, I landed on this for a few reasons. One is it helps me justify, doing all the time. But I did a few years ago, actually during COVID, I bought the domain and started posting articles
Okay, that's
well
cool.
before I started the YouTube
Uh-huh.
channel, thinking, the reason actually there was I look back and I'd kind of been doing the whole homebrewing thing the same way since I started, and I was
Mm-hmm.
wondering if that was really the optimal way of doing it. So I did kind of a deep dive, reread the latest version of How to Brew, and that was when I got like the malt and hops and yeast books and um, books on like wild fermentation and a whole bunch of different things. And then I kind of started and sort of at one point intended to do a YouTube channel, and I started recording videos, but they
Mm-hmm.
never made it to YouTube. And what really kicked me into gear with that was when Google started posting their AI thing at the top of Google and pushing down all the content. And
Mm-hmm.
I figured YouTube was the way to go at that point. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed YouTube. So I've been on YouTube. I don't think I talk about this to anybody, so except for my close friends and family members. So I have another YouTube channel. I'm not going to bring it up because it really doesn't matter anymore. But like, I moved down from Michigan to Tennessee in 2005. We raised our family here. I went back to college. I got my computer science degree and all that kind of fun jazz. So when I graduated, I felt like I was forgetting a lot of the stuff that I learned. So I started recording. I would go through all my old college notes and I started like making videos.
Hmm.
I did basically a Java 1 course. So I went through all my
Okay.
Java 1 stuff, then I did Java 2, I did all that stuff. I did PHP and then HTML, CSS. Just kind of so again, like all the
Hmm.
stuff that I learned. I did a little bit of networking. 'Cause that's what actually my concentration was actually in IT. I
Okay.
became a programmer because I couldn't find a job as a sysadmin anywhere where I live
Okay.
at. So I kind of became a programmer more by accident.
Yeah.
I felt like I missed out a lot because like there's a lot of classes that were in the CS hard concentration that I have no idea about. I still don't know anything about. But I've
You
learned
figure it
along the
out.
way. Oh, I did. Yeah. You just drink from a fire hose
Yeah.
long enough, you're going to drown
Yeah.
or you become a superhero.
Mhm.
Um, so yes, I've been doing this like off and on for a while, and it was great exposure to get started. Like I mentioned to you earlier before we
Mhm.
started recording, like I did pints with pals, which was just a fun little experiment for me and my friend
Yeah.
to kind of play around with. And we didn't care if it went anywhere or not. It was just me and him having a good time. We talk every
Right.
Friday night, anyways. I'm an old gamer, so we'll play video games together for a while. I was like, well, why don't we spend an hour talking about whatever crazy beer that we find?
Yeah.
Because he's still up in Michigan, I'm down here, so as you can see where the problem started happening, it was basically it was hard to
Right.
find same beers after a while, right?
Yeah.
Because Tennessee has a law, the beer can't be any higher than 10.1%. He
Really?
liked,
I
oh
didn't
yeah,
know that.
well, you cannot find a beer
Huh.
higher than. Now you can go to breweries, and if a brewery says this beer is 10.1, I can guarantee you it's not. And they're not checking
Okay.
it, but
Right.
legally that's what they have to say. That's the highest that's in it.
Okay. Huh. I
But
didn't
he
know
likes
that.
barrel aged beers, which can be 12 to 20%, right? So
Right.
we'd have to meet halfway. So somebody's in Ohio or in, Kentucky and swap beers and all that kind of fun stuff. So,
Okay.
so it was a great exposure. I've learned a
Yeah.
lot, getting better at it overall. I feel like anyways.
Yeah. I think that's part of it too, is
Yeah.
like, I feel like, um, communicate, like being able to talk at, I guess a camera
Yes.
is a valuable skill. The real thing is that in my mind, when I started is, I was like, you know, wanting to be better at, I guess, public speaking. And a camera's not really a crowd, but it's something, and so I feel like that's a valuable skill, and being able to collect your thoughts and talk, you know, not like I'm doing right now. But collect your thoughts and talk and have it flow and all that is
Yes.
is good. And I'm still figuring it out too. So,
Yeah, I
but
think you're doing an excellent job overall. I really
I do a lot of
enjoy.
editing.
Yeah, your editing magic is definitely as is really good. I do like the little subtle sound effects every once in a while you have in
Yeah.
there for like something's flipping scenes or a little animation, whatever pops up. That definitely grabs people's attention. I thought about doing stuff like that for the podcast, but I don't think it really makes sense
Hmm.
to do so. So I'm not going to do anything like that per se. But if I
Yeah.
were to maybe do a brew day, maybe I might do something
Hmm.
like that. But I'm not sure
Yeah.
this is the right platform for that or not. I have live streamed a brew day before, just to kind
Okay.
of like I'm here, I'm just brewing. There's a lot of downtime. If you want to chit
Yeah.
chat, we can chit chat.
Right.
But I don't
That sounds
mind.
like fun. It also sounds very intense.
It wasn't
Because
too bad.
really?
I didn't have a whole lot of people kind of show up either, so that kind of made it nice.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
like, okay, this is another thing people don't know about me. I used to like live stream on Justin TV, like video
Okay.
games, and before Twitch was
Okay.
a thing. So when Twitch became a thing,
Right.
so
I vaguely remember that being a thing. I don't
yes,
remember much about it at
right,
all.
okay, yeah. So it was a precursor to Twitch.
Okay.
Right. So I was out there. The wife worked. I think she was working second shift at the time. She wouldn't get home till like 12 o'clock at night. So
Hmm.
I just played video games until she got home. Granted, I didn't make any money at it, but I just did it because I
Yeah.
moved down here. The kids were asleep, didn't have any friends anywhere. So I figured, okay, this is one
Hmm.
way to be social with people.
Right.
But you also, so if you ever do live stream, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable talking to nobody. You just got to
Yeah.
talk. That's the
Yeah.
hardest part because like, what do I talk about? What do I bring up? So, but you'll figure it out pretty quick. It's like we're talking out. You can talk about the mold incident. Like, oh, I was
Yeah.
making this wine one time, and for the life of me, I can't figure out what's going on. And you just trying to figure the stuff out, and
Yeah.
it's not so bad. It's kind of fun. I did a live stream with Dennis. So like he did YouTube. He did this channel with me. Then he said, what's it went live? Would I go on his? I said, sure. And he had a pretty big audience. It still was fun though, because people were just firing off questions. You're like, oh man, this is
Okay.
a blast.
Yeah.
And Dennis is just a personality anyways. So, which is, really great. That was a good time, man.
Yeah.
So if you do it, cool. Let me know.
Okay.
I'll jump on. I'll bug you. I'll ask
Okay.
you questions.
Yeah. Like I said, it sounds fun. It sounds like a real interesting thing to do. My worry, so I have a hard time as it is being able to edit after the fact and stuff. Um, Focusing on actually doing it and talking about it at the same time.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So that's why, especially with the baby and having to jump back and forth and stuff a lot during the day.
Cruel. Yeah,
But
I can see that too.
that's why all of mine are like recaps of
Mm-hmm.
the brew day. I'll talk about what I did instead of
Mm.
talking about it as I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'll do voiceovers with B-roll and stuff instead, just because that's way easier for me.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like that
Yeah.
format as well too. I think that's pretty interesting because if not, like you're just chopping up your footage anyways for the most part.
Yeah.
Like because nobody's going to sit there and watch you stand there for an hour watching this
Right.
thing do its thing. You're like going, okay, it's
Right.
kind of boring. But I think we can talk about this like off camera just a little bit. I feel like we're getting a little too deep into this one for the most part.
Okay.
I did want to ask about I think like in device question, you kind of covered this whole topic fairly well, but you're a software engineer, you have a baby, your
Mhm.
wife, home gym, like we said, you like to do woodworking, fantasy football,
Mhm.
all this kind of stuff. How do you actually make time for all of it?
I don't.
Perfect advice. On to the next section.
Yeah, the home brewing has become more like
Yeah.
I'm doing it more now just because of the YouTube channel. Before I was doing that, I was doing it a lot less. I was still doing it, but a lot less. But the woodworking stuff, it's like I'm not like I'm by no means a woodworker. I just, when we need something, I'll go do it type of a thing.
So you're a woodworker. Yeah, got it.
But like my wife's brother, like he spends a lot of his time out in the garage, it sounds like, and every time we go up there he's got some new piece of something that he built to show us. And I mean that would be fun, but I don't have the time for that or the um money. I It's hard to get wood too. Like I think he has
Quality
a
wood is hard.
connection or something, or they have a lumber yard up there somewhere where he can get it.
Oh,
But
okay, fair
like
enough. Yeah.
I looked around and there's, as far as I can tell, like nowhere in my city to get quality wood.
Yeah.
You can
It's
go to
kind of where
Home
I'm at
Depot and
too.
get the
Yeah.
treated lumber, but
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I think Craft for me is like either South Carolina or somewhere in North Carolina. Like it's like a
okay.
2-hour drive. So it's nothing. Now there is a couple people that sell some exotic woods, but every time I look at their website, like it doesn't look good to me to even
Yeah.
buy. And I don't have, and they're all rough sawn, so I don't have anything to make it look
Right.
pretty. Like I don't have
Yeah.
now, but anyways, I don't have the equipment because I used to do woodworking as well. Like I tried to make a little side business out of it. It didn't really
Oh,
go
yeah.
anywhere, but it was fun to do. I learned a lot. So I treated my woodworking like how you treat your overnight mashes. Like I would have everything cut like the day
Mhm.
before, and then
Okay.
spend the worst part sanding like the next day because doing it all in one day just made it
Yeah.
unbearable. And sanding is like the longest part of all of it, right? It takes so much time
Yeah.
to sand this stuff down to make it look nice.
I don't mind sanding. I can just put something headphones in and just go
Okay.
to town.
Usually mine is I think my arms just get tired after a while doing it.
Oh yeah.
Like I just get fatigued. I'm just like, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. So I
Well,
haven't
that's
really
the other
done
thing
anything
is I
rough.
don't ever make a day of it.
Okay.
I mean, it took me a couple of weeks, I think, to do the Keezer, and that's just nailing 4 boards, screwing, I guess, 4 boards together. I mean, it's a little more
Right.
complicated than that,
Yeah. Because I
but
knocked off all the rounded edges off of mine. I did try to square it up that way.
I actually didn't do that, and
Okay.
I should have. And it's all, I mean, again, it's Home Depot treated lumber, so it all twisted after I put it together a little bit.
Yep.
So I ended up using weather stripping
Okay.
and using the leftover caulk to like
Yeah.
set that in there, and then the lid sits on that. So I have like more weather stripping on one side, and then the back corner has none because that's actually seated. And
Should have drilled it up. Oh, that's brilliant. Hey, as long as it
Yeah.
works, if it's doing its
Yeah.
job, it is not a huge waste of energy. Like perfect, man.
Right.
That's awesome. All right. So one topic I'm super, like I said, about you're a software engineer.
Okay. Yep.
So what kind of software engineering do you do for a living?
Mostly like web apps.
Okay.
I work for the big healthcare system around here doing, so for my day job, I do like all internal stuff. So it's a lot of like provider credentialing. Um, the, I work with the people who negotiate with the insurance companies and I build the tools that they use to do the analytics or to, um, communicate back and forth or whatever, and it's all .NET with them. It's, web apps. Um, and for fun, I mean, I guess for fun, I do a lot more like Ruby on Rails, which is still web apps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like just little things that benefit me in our life. I have a little budgeting thing that I'm working on to help
Mm-hmm.
us with our budget. I actually came up with just recently, and I've been working on brewlab.app,
Okay.
which I'm hoping to tie in with all this stuff I'm doing, where it's going to be a journaling tool and a diagnosis tool. So you like can journal your batches, and
Mm-hmm.
then if something goes wrong, it'll tell you why and how to fix it.
You can use AI with that.
Yeah, a little bit. It's
Okay.
it's mainly a rules engine, and
Okay.
then it feeds it into Claude, um, and has Claude kind of, work the rules
Mm-hmm.
engine. The rules engine itself will actually do most of the heavy lifting and actually, because it's all the different things. I had Claude tell me some of these things, like what different strains of yeast are known for having problems and
Okay.
different
Yeah. Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And so if you feed it in and you say, I use this yeast and this fermentation temperature or something like that, it'll
Mm-hmm.
come back and say, this is why, as it produces this compound at this temperature, based on the rule set. But if anything is weird or doesn't work, it'll feed it into Claude and use their haiku, their lowest one, to try
Okay.
and
No.
figure it
Which is
out.
actually a
And
pretty solid LM, right? I mean,
yeah. No, I actually really like Claude. I didn't think any of the AI stuff was worth it at all until very recently. I found
it's
Claude,
yeah. In the
and
last
Claude's really
12
good.
months, it's blown. It's great. So I have mixed feelings about AI, and the wife
Yeah.
will contest to this. Like I worked for one company for 7 8 years. Oh no, yeah, and then I went to another company worked for almost 7 8 years. So I started off like PHP land. So I maintained
Okay.
he had like 17 websites. It was a pharmaceutical company, so I maintained all that. Nothing really
Hmm.
fancy. Back then, I guess it was still I was titled a webmaster for the most part, right? That's all I did. I made sure everything
Okay.
was up. I made sure whatever hosting platforms we were dealing with, make sure all those were still good to even stick with because some were kind of crappy, so we jumped around quite a bit. Had to do all that kind of fun stuff. I had to write where like HT access, rewrite rules if we switched
Yeah.
from like
That's some of the most annoying
Yahoo to
stuff.
something else to get it to work right, or 301 redirects, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Then from there, I went to another company to do local government work,
Okay.
and I got hired as a PHP developer. And day one, they threw me into Scala, and I'm like,
Okay.
excuse me. I was like, yes, you can do Scala. I got hired as a PHP developer. I don't even know what Scala is. And
Right.
the first, and then my boss started explaining to me, he had no idea what it was. So the guy that taught me was only there for 2 weeks and he quit. So I had 2 week crack course on Scala, which is a functional programming language. If you don't know what Scala is,
Yeah.
making web apps with that.
Huh.
It is not Scala
Why
is
did
not
they
meant.
choose, right? Why did they choose a functional language for web apps?
I'll give you the short answer. This is the long answer. The CFO was friends with a guy at church. His son of 17 years old
Okay.
needed a job and he wanted to build this. And he built it in Scala and then he quit. And I had to maintain this thing for like
Okay.
4 years, and
Huh.
it was really cool. I mean, I enjoyed it. I learned a lot about functional programming, but it's weird because they use case classes instead of normal classes like object oriented uses. So a case
Hmm.
class can only have 21 um, attributes. If you go beyond that, you have to make a sub case class,
Hmm.
basically. Now, that
Okay.
has changed. Like, Scala's gotten better over the years. But when I worked on
Okay.
it in 2015 to 2018, it was still pretty crappy. But we also used the Play framework as the wrapper, basically, to make it a web app. Not fast whatsoever. Brilliant for crunching numbers because it was for a tax, property tax application was what it was. So there was a lot of data they had to churn through. So it was phenomenal at that, but not fast at all.
Yeah.
So from there, I went to WTW, which is like a 500, 4,500 company. And I was insurance, so I did C#.net. I had no clue what that was. Again, like drink from the fire hose, right? And
Yeah.
then I've learned so much stuff. I've had all sorts of like a different jobs, but to get AI, like I've actually like some jobs have like replaced me. And I was part of those like huge layoffs because AI
Okay.
came in and can
Huh.
do what I was doing. Last role I had,
Not
I
really, but
was right. We were told we had to use AI, so we all had Cursor.
yeah. Okay.
So Cursor's great. It's phenomenal. It churned out code, within minutes, which would take me like hours. But I would find myself I would completely I wasn't completely rewriting it all, but I was rewriting
Hmm.
enough to make it flow. And that's one thing the AI doesn't understand. Like, it never read the full document to understand the flow of it. And that was my biggest gripe when I was like a team, or I was basically like a software manager. When people would submit code to me and I do code reviews, like, it didn't flow with the actual code there. Like, they try to
Right.
be cute or fancy with it. Like, no, don't do this, because like you got to remember, we hire people out of college and they're not going to understand this crazy lambda
Yeah.
expression thing you're trying to do, because this is not taught in college. This is stuff learned later on in life. um so it'd always do all this crazy stuff that I always have to like kind of unravel like a little bit. So it was a nice um head start, I would say, for the most part. Like, it spit out stuff like,
Yeah.
this is cool and blah blah blah. So that's my little spill on AI. I'm gonna drop the subject on
Yeah.
that.
Well, so my thoughts on AI. So I always kind of likened it to back when they would, there was that whole push to do offshoring, right? And so they'd hire cheap code farms over in India or China or something, and it was people who didn't speak English and didn't actually ever learn problem solving or software architecture or any of the high level stuff, and all they could do is churn out code. And so companies could make that work if they had a very smart, you know, software architect leading that and basically spitting out, generating the pseudocode and handing it off to them to do very, very, very simple tasks.
Hmm.
Um, Claude has become pretty good, and I feel like that's more like an intern instead
Hmm.
of one of those code farms. Is, it doesn't know everything, and it's not going to do it all for you from scratch
Hmm.
necessarily. Pretty good. I built a WordPress plug. I just to see how it would work.
Hmm.
Had it build a WordPress plugin from scratch for
Hmm.
me, and I'm going to rewrite it to actually use it on my site. But um, and it would try to go in and like rewrite WordPress to make something work. And then I'd be like, there's a setting here. Can we just change that? And it's like, oh yeah, we could do that.
Right. Yeah. Yep. It's all about the context clues you have to
Yeah.
give it. I did notice, like, if you build a pretty good what's it called? Is it a PRD? No, that's not it. Anyways, like, so pretty much like a really good spec. Like,
Hmm.
I'm trying to build this. You give it like really
Right.
detailed stuff. It can turn out, actually it does a lot better at that point, because I just feel like you're like, make me this. It's like, okay, I'm gonna make you something like it, I guess, because I don't
Right.
have any other context. But I feel like the more stuff you give to it, the better it gets. And I can see this being a role in the next, I don't even think 5 years. It could be 2 years from now. Like, I can see a role as a AI orchestrator. Like,
Yeah.
that's your job, is you're
Yeah.
going to have like 20 AI agents doing various things. You're going to have like a QA, a QC, you're going to have some devs, you're going to have whatever, you're going to have all these different things moving around. So instead of being like a software engineer, you're going to have to wear like multiple different hats as this orchestrator,
Yeah.
because you have
Maybe.
to be able to learn and read all this to make sure everything's working properly. I can see that being a thing. The bad thing about that,
Hmm.
now you just lost 20 jobs to AI for, like, of real people
Yeah.
to do this. But the kicker
I
is
know. We
like,
need to figure out the job situation, I think, period. Especially as more things get automated
Yeah.
and kind of rethink that. But that's kind of, that's how it was 100 years ago too,
Oh yeah, Industrial
when with
Revolution.
industry coming along and that got rid of jobs, and we had the same pushback back then that people were losing jobs. But, I mean, innovation is going to happen. So
Oh,
I don't know.
100%. There's no stopping it. The one thing I thought was interesting with the few companies that were like a lot of us lost our jobs was like, how am I going to say this? I don't care. So AWS, Google, and Microsoft, they give these companies free stuff to play with. They're like drug dealers. They're going to give you the first hit for free,
Yeah.
and then you're hooked. And then all of a sudden it's like going, okay, your credits are gone, your tokens are gone, or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
And like, this is your bill. And they get this first bill for like 60 or 40 to $60,000. Like, holy crap. We can't keep this shiny new toy
Right.
and keep all these employees. Right. So what goes? So like there's that as well too. But I also think there's also the naive C-suit that don't understand exactly what AI is, or they just hear the buzzword. And there's been meetings I've gone to in my past where like you walk in, it's like, and all you hear is the word AI constantly. Everyone's saying AI, AI, AI. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, do you really know what this is doing? No, you don't. You just know this is the new cool thing. It's what all your
Yeah.
competitors are doing. People want blah blah. But yeah, so it's a neat tool. I think it's great. I think it's a great aid. I think it
Mhm.
can help you prototype stuff pretty quickly, like obviously you did with your spreadsheet thing.
It's
Which
really good at
so
spitting out like code that you would be doing a lot of.
mhm.
And so I can tell it to do, um, I mean, I can give it the specs for all of the tables I want all in the database for an app, and it'll spit out the migrations for those in 10 seconds, whereas it would take me probably an
Beautiful.
hour to do myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so if you give it specific jobs and then, all it's got to do is do that, then it's pretty good at that.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, yeah, you're pretty like I guess you're a polyglot in a way with like programming because like I've also tried Ruby on Rails because it was the hot thing from like 2008 or something like that. Uh, I've even applied for like a couple of jobs. Like I didn't even know Ruby on Rails very well. Like I'm gonna apply for it anyway. So
Yeah.
well, like, I love MVC. I think MVC is
Yeah.
like the best pattern to use for like
For web apps, at least. Yeah.
So
A lot of database backed
yeah,
stuff, anything
exactly. It
that's
works so good.
logically object based.
Mm-hmm. So like I applied, I did their quick little quiz thing. They gave me like a project to do. I think I did fairly well on it. I mean, obviously I had to get hired, but it was still a good learning experience. And then I jumped to
Hmm.
Laravel because my last role I did Vue.js and Laravel. So
Okay.
I was mainly like the front end guy. So I did all the Vue.js stuff, which is a
Yeah.
great little framework itself.
That's actually what I do these days is Ruby on Rails on the back and um,
Uh,
Vue.js on the
yeah,
front. Yeah. And
yeah,
then
well, I
at my
love Vue.
job, we do Angular because that was when we started
Yeah,
the website, that was Microsoft's thing, and we're a Microsoft shop.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. The last Angular I touched was 1.2 a
oh, yeah. I
long
think
time
we're doing
ago.
8, just still a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think
Laravel's
it's on
pretty cool,
19
but I
now.
mean, Laravel's borrowed Ruby and Rails and Laravel
Just
borrow.
about everything from Ruby on Rails.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
borrow from each other constantly. Like
Yeah.
you hear,
I did my dad and I did a health insurance thing with Laravel that like way back in the day when Laravel was like brand new.
mhm.
It was supposed to like work with Obamacare and stuff.
Okay.
And we did that for a while until Obamacare changed all its stuff and made our thing illegal. We had to shut it down.
That's a
But
fun story.
and then I also did helped a guy out doing he wanted to do like a fantasy football like contract style league app.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I worked with him doing that. That was in Laravel too. So
There you go. Yeah.
I've done that too.
Solo polyglot. That's what I like. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Yeah. After a bunch of different languages, like I think I don't like any of them, honestly. I think they all got their weird little caveats to them. Like I said, I'm not a program. I am a programmer. I've been programming for almost 18 years of my life now, but I still have the IT
Yeah.
mentality. I like networking. I think system admin's really cool. I think like all this stuff is unique to me. But like I've been trying to find like the golden um programming language. Like I've tried Go, I've tried
There isn't one.
Rust. Yeah, there is. They're all
It's
kind of
like,
weird and unique and
well,
just
right, but it's like tools.
yeah,
You know,
100%. Yep.
when you're building something, you can't use the same tool. You can use the same tool for every job. You're not going to do a very good job very efficiently doing that,
So
but
Python got
you know,
it.
Python's good for scripting, and they have like Django
Yep,
for
I did
web apps,
Django.
but
Yep.
it's not great. And it does some, yeah, I mean, Python's good for scripting, and that's, kind of, in my opinion, where it ends.
Fast API.
Um,
If you want to try something new, try that one out. That was really cool.
okay.
Yeah, it's a lot faster than Django. It's a pretty snappy little thing.
I haven't looked at trying to do Python web apps in years.
Yeah.
So
So if you're
last time I
bored,
looked, Django was the one.
if you're bored, I would try that one out.
Okay.
It's pretty neat because it uses a lot of like newer features like async and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it
Okay.
a lot faster that way. Yeah, I should just do a podcast on programming. That'd be fun. So we're gonna get to like another fun section I like, which is the rapid fire round. So basically,
Okay.
whatever comes to mind, don't overthink. Whatever comes
Okay.
into your head first. If you want to explain, go ahead. That's fun as well too. All right. So the first one, if you could only do one of these for the rest of your life, what would it be? Beer, mead, wine, or cider?
Beer.
There you go.
Whiskey's actually the answer, but of those, you gave me a beer.
Yeah, stuff that's legal to do for now.
Right.
West
That's
Coast.
actually what I would really like to do, but it's illegal. So,
Yes, I mean you can still do it.
or rather, so Clawhammer put out their a video recently going over that whole thing and where it's at now, and I guess now they're not denying licenses for home distillers, so I
Mhm.
could go get a license. But I looked into it, and as far as I can tell, in my state, it would cost me $50,000 every other year, and I'd have to hold a $10,000 bond just to be able to do it. So I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever actually watched that video or not. I do remember there's a whole bunch of articles about it. Like,
Hmm.
it might be, was it, I don't know if they said unconstitutional or something like that. I
Yeah,
forget what the
the
term they
Texas
were.
judge.
Yeah.
I was following it as best as I can, because if it becomes illegal, I will probably get into that pretty heavily.
Yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. I've had my fair share of moonshine in my region. So, I mean, I'm in the Appalachian Mountains. So, I mean, so there's a lot around here.
Yep.
uh,
The best man at my wedding is from Romania, and one of their things over there is, I mean, pretty much everybody makes plum moonshine. They call it suika.
okay.
And it's their family. They do it as a family thing.
Uh-huh.
They get together and do it in the backyard. And so I have done that with him. I've made suika.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've never heard
So
of that one. That's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man. All right. So the next one, West Coast IPA or hazies?
West Coast
There you go. Kegging or bottling?
kegging easily.
Nice.
I hate bottling day. Actually, I guess we hadn't gotten into that. Bottling day was another big reason why I got away from beer and was doing it less until I found mead and then stopped doing it for a while. And, you know, kegging was kind of part of what got me back into it. Before I got the chest freezer, I was trying to do those like little mini kegs with the CO2 cartridges
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
little
Yep.
while. That worked well enough, but yeah, kegging is so much easier. It makes bottling day, I mean, not
Yes.
a thing.
I still
You don't have
bottle once
bottle
in a while.
bombs. I got let's see if I have it over here. I tried several different things for a while, and then I got this
Oh, yep. I have that same one.
Nuka
Yep. That's
counter
so cool.
pressure
Yeah.
bottling thing, and I love it.
Yeah. It speeds it up
And
really
so
quick.
now I bottle off the tap fairly often, and it's really easy. Especially like I can just do it right before I go somewhere, bottle
Mhm.
6 bottles, and then take them to a party or something. And
Yep. Yeah. So if you happen to join like a homebrew club, that helps out too a lot. That's what I usually do.
yeah,
Just
I
pour it off
bet.
and just go.
Yeah,
So what has been your favorite thing that you brewed so far?
the IPA.
You're right. But what has been the
Yeah.
worst thing you've brewed?
Oh, I mean, probably it's got to be one of the oxidized things. I had to dump. Um, I mean, I dumped that first batch of that Oktoberfest beer, because that was oxidized and gross, and I couldn't barely drink it. I've had Pilsners that I guess I fermented too hot that came out
Oh,
plasticky.
oh, wow.
So,
That's horrible. I've had one turn out Bella with the Disney Band-Aid.
yeah,
That was kind of weird.
it might be. So, I don't know if it was because I don't think of it as Band-Aid. Like, it tasted like almost like it was coming from the plastic hoses or something, but they
Oh,
weren't
okay.
new hoses or anything, and I've used
Mm,
them in other batches and never gotten in anything else except for, um, those batches
hmm
specifically, and
hmm
so and I actually when I was doing my diagnosis tool thing, that was one of the things that came up is that W3470 gives off, I think the chemical compound is called styrene or something that can produce that.
That's
So,
interesting.
I think that's probably why.
Okay, no, that is pretty interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've had that. I've only had a few. I've had a couple infections, and I've had like some beers that just didn't turn out. Like I never figured out why.
Actually, now you say that, the worst one was probably that banana one. Yeah,
Or the fungus from hell, basically, is what it
yeah.
sounds like. That's crazy, man. Let's see. Oh yeah. So which one requires more patience? Baby duty or brew day?
Uh, well, the baby requires more patience. Brew
Yes.
days, I've got it
Got a
on a
system.
routine now,
There you go.
especially since the baby. I kinda had to get it all, like, flowing.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, like I said too, just don't worry about it. If I miss a hot timing or something because I have to feed the baby or something, it's not that big a deal.
So I don't get that part of it. Yes, and I do remember that being one of your answers, not answers, but I think it was yeah, it wasn't one of your answers.
Mhm.
Like being kind of loosey with everything. And I find that pretty interesting. With the baby, I definitely understand. But if it wasn't for the baby, and you were still doing that, like being a programmer and have to think about everything analytically, like, well,
Yeah.
this has to happen, then boom, bada bing, these routines got to fire off at a certain time, blah, blah,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff to be like, going, whatever. I found very, very
Yeah,
interesting.
I guess.
And you're not the only one
It
to
kinda
said that
comes
though either. So
around differently, I feel like, though, 'cause I'm a lot more analytic and engineering minded with, like, the recipe building, and then after the fact, I'm very, like, critical not critical in a bad way, but, like, I analyze, like, the results of the batch, and then I'm very, like that's something that's, I think, come up in every one of my videos, my recipe videos at least, is at the end, it's like, "Well, this went wrong, and this is how I could have done it better, and even
yeah,
if it's good, like, what" you know, did I do wrong? What could I do better? You know, and some of that probably is because I'm a little more loose with the actual process. So,
right, yeah, right. I was supposed to add this hop edition at 25 minutes and only got 2 minutes
yep,
left. I'll throw it in now.
yeah,
Which is fine. I mean, yeah, I've missed stuff as well too, and I feel like sometimes that could be maybe even a blessing. I mean, like beer could turn out better than what you thought it was going to be,
yeah,
or is better on the nose, right, as well too, because those late
mhm.
addition hops definitely help all of that. Is there a brewing trend that you would like to see come back?
Well, I'm like I said, I really liked um, those IPAs,
Hmm
the Hop Wars IPAs where they crank the IBUs. I also really liked just the variety, kind of at the peak of craft
hmm
brewing.
hmm
I want to say around 2015, when all the bars had 100 different taps and you could just try everything. And
There you go. That's perfect. Now, is there one you would like to see go away?
not so much go away because, I understand that things are out there for a reason and people like them. And so that makes the businesses more money and stuff. Um, I mean, hazies are fine by themselves. I just don't like the fact that every beer is a hazy and every hazy tastes the same. Or at least the ones in the bars. You
Yeah,
go to a bar and you buy a hazy, you know what you're expecting because it's the same as
No,
on the other ones.
I can see that point of view. Like I've always so when I go to breweries and stuff like that, I always if they have any type of lager on tap, I always order that
Hmm.
first because that tells
Yeah.
you everything you need to know about that brewery,
Yeah, that makes sense.
right? So like there's a lot of things you can do to any other style of beer to make it sellable. A lager is kind of tough. Like I guess you could dry hop
Yeah,
after the
especially
fact if
the
it kind of
pale
sucks,
lagers.
but right to try to cover up some of those mistakes because again you're brewing
Yeah.
what I forgot how big a barrel is now, top of my head. But anyways, you're doing barrel sizes, if not bigger than that.
Hmm.
So yeah, you got to sell this stuff. You're not you just lost thousands of dollars. Um, so we're kind of at these like the wrapping up section of the interview.
Okay.
So with your YouTube channel, is there anything that's kind of like in the pipelines that people should watch out for?
I've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. I am so one thing I'm working on that's going to be a very long term project is um I'm trying to like brew simple basic meads with every different like source honey that I can get my hands on. So like chicory, radish, buckwheat, um, carrot blossom, just to see what it like turns out to be
Hmm.
and what it would be good in and what it could be used for and what that honey does. Cause that's really interesting to me is like what the different ingredient that's kind of like the engineering analytical thing to me is like what does each individual ingredient do,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so I like doing like smash beers to see what does
Yep.
this grain do, what does this hop
Yeah, that's
do,
fun.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. And we've got a lot of information already out there on the beer side, but very little on mead. It seems like
Mm,
most mead content is centered around like recipes and what can you add to it and spiced meads and fruit meads and all that kind of stuff.
oh, that'd
And I
be so
think a lot of
exciting.
that is because honey's so expensive, but um I was able to get a box of stuff from Flying Bee Ranch over on the West Coast.
Hmm.
Not for free, I bought it, but I was able to get a box of it and get a discount for doing it in bulk. So
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. I can't wait for that stuff to come up. Be kind of curious what you discover and
yeah.
kind of where it goes. And sorry, I guess I'm assuming you're just do like 1 gallon batches probably for all of it.
Yeah, I did a 3 gallon or 2.5 maybe,
Okay.
2.5 or 3 gallon of the carrot blossom,
Okay.
um, because I was excited about that one. I watched this actually all started. I watched a man-made mead video.
Hmm.
I don't remember when it was, where um he did some experiment and it was something completely different, but he like offhandedly said, and I used this much carrot blossom in each of these batches because it gave like a spice thing. And I was like, there's no way that you get that kind of a thing from honey. And so I got some. I went and searched the internet, and that's how I found Flying Bee Ranch and that they had all these different options. And I bought the carrot blossom and did a 3 gallon batch of that. And I actually that was like a year ago or a year and a half,
Okay.
so I have the carrot blossom ready, and it's amazing. So and it's everything like it's like you said, it tastes like carrot cake almost.
No way.
So, yeah. I mean,
Oh wow.
it's a dry meat, so it doesn't have, like, the sweetness, but it
Okay.
has, like, the spice and the
Right.
raisin and maybe some of that psychosomatic because, you carrot and carrot cake, but it's yeah, I mean, it's got, like, the baking spice thing going on, so
That sounds
and
actually
that
really
got me
good. Yeah.
thinking, that website's got all this stuff, I
Hmm.
could try this with all these other things, and so,
Yeah, dude, that's exciting. I can't wait for to watch that one. I'll definitely
yeah.
keep an eye out for that one for sure. If you want, you go ahead and plug all your socials and everything.
Okay. Well, it's the Ultimate Homebrewers Guide is the YouTube channel. UltimateHomebrewersGuide.com is the website. Um, the Ultimate Homebrewers Guide over on Instagram. I don't really do Instagram that much. I
Mm,
don't really do social media that much. So I try to post there every now and again, but I mean, it's the website and the YouTube channel are the big ones.
there you go. That's perfect, man. Is there a recipe you would like to share with the audience, or like a or YouTube or anything like that? I'll put it down in the
Um,
description.
yeah, I mean, I can share with you. I can do the IPA. I've got
Sounds perfect.
I mean, that's probably the one we've talked about. So,
There you go. Yeah, we
you
should do
know,
that
I've
one. That'd
got
be
other
awesome, man.
videos that I've done recipes. I've
Hmm.
got recipes on the website, so it's all there.
Yep.
It's all out
Yeah,
there.
I'll try.
But
I'll put everything in the description for sure, so people go check it out and stuff like that.
okay.
It's gonna be awesome. Um, another question I ask everybody. So, who would you like to see me interview next?
So I don't know who all you've done. It sounds like you've done a lot of people and haven't posted them yet. So,
Yes.
but I mean, any of the big guys, you know, Clawhammer Supply. Uh, I think you said you did Brew Show.
Hmm.
Dr. Hans would be
Okay. Yeah, it'd be
interesting.
cool. Yep. I'll write him down.
Um, yeah, I mean, that's as far as brew tubers go. That's, you know,
Yeah, if you can think anymore, you can just send me an email. You get my information.
actually, you know what? You brought up the farming thing. I don't know if he would do it because he's not really like in all this stuff, but my wife's um one of her very close friends, his or her husband, the last time I talked to him, and I don't know if he's ever followed through with this, but he was in the process of like buying land down in Texas to grow hops, and he had like customers lined up to sell them to. So he was getting into that.
Oh, interesting.
So if I could ask her and see it, or you know, ask him, I guess, and see if he's interested in this at all. But
100%. Yeah,
I
that'd
mean,
be
that could be
awesome.
something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, if you do that, it'd be phenomenal. Kind of get that ball rolling. I'm sure everyone has that
Yeah.
like unique take on it. Because like I said earlier, like I'm originally from Michigan, and Michigan has a huge hop farms on the upper or
Yeah.
the northern part of Michigan. It's way up there. Um,
Okay.
yeah, like there's been a few YouTubers I've watched who actually have contacted the Michigan hop farms and have gotten hops to try out instead of
Okay.
going to like what was the one out in Washington, starts with a Y.
Yakima.
Thank you. Okay, I
Is that
could
the
think.
one?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I know there's a Y in it. I can't remember the name of it. Last thing, someone
Hmm.
listening right now who's thinking about brewing, since you've done this for years now, like they haven't started, they haven't pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
What was like what do you think is the simplest way to get started?
The simplest way to get started, I mean, if you really want to do beer, it's not that hard. Just go ahead and do it. But the simplest way to get started is to do just about anything else. I actually have a video. My video that's performed the best is about that right
Okay.
there. It's like the simplest possible thing you could possibly make to get started in this hobby.
Hmm.
And it's just go to the grocery store, buy some, you know, fruit juice and pour some yeast in it.
All right. Yeah. There you go. Make some cider.
Yeah, and then you figure out how to do fermentation, you figure out how to make it good, and then you can kind of branch out into, you know, meads or carbonation or whatever. And you know, I
There you
mean,
go.
beer is more complicated, and I think that's why everyone keeps saying home brewing is dying or whatever, is because people are moving away from beer into the other stuff because the mash is, you know, it's daunting if you don't understand what you're doing. Um, you know, and the whole brew day takes hours, but the rest of it's, I mean, fermentation can be super simple.
Right. Exactly. No, I think that's a good advice. Like most people start off with like extract kits for the most part, but I think
Hmm.
making some type of cider, yeah, it was a very simple thing to get going.
Yeah,
It's not hard at all. And then
no,
maybe a mead. Mead is not much more difficult than a cider.
mead
I
just takes time, is all.
Yeah, I think wine, but probably about the same difficulty as mead, right? It's just time, most part. I'm
Yeah,
assuming, right? So I know there's less things to worry about with mead and wine like versus beer, like oxidation being
yeah.
like no the
Well,
biggest one, right?
there's
So
that too, is, you know, the oxidation factor.
yeah,
Beer's just more complex in general. It's not, I
yeah,
mean, it's, you can still make good beer, and I did. I started with beer and did beer exclusively for many years. But, you know, if I was going to do it over again, I'd probably start different just because there are easier ways to do it. But if you want to do beer, it's not that hard. I mean, you can make it work.
that's a solid answer. And on that note, Anthony, I've had a pleasure just chatting with you. Thank you for
Yeah, it
being
was
a
fun.
guest. I'm glad you signed up to do this. Maybe
Yeah,
we
me
can get
too.
together in the future and kind of see where you're at and
Yeah,
go from
of
there.
course.
All right, sir. Hope you have a
Sounds
good
good.
evening and enjoy the little child of yours.
All right.
See you.
Thanks.
See you, bud.
See ya.